Tech Tales 22. Today, May 5th, 2021, 7:27 p.m. This video goes public tomorrow morning, Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. This time slip is from Tuesday of last week. And this was for the apartment building that begins with the letter M. 3 o'clock to 5:50 p.m. The time slip reads, has the two person's name that's involved in this. Performed in-lab setup checklist of MS Office installation for 2 computers. Scrolling down a little bit, yeah, that's the end of that. So that was an hour and 50 minutes. This was a little unusual that I'm setting up 2 computers at the same time in the lab. And in this instance, I actually did a start and stop time. I was working straight through there. It's also unusual to be able to do a start and stop sign, start and stop time in the lab. I'm going to show you a little bit about the checklist because I think this is an interesting opportunity to do that. So I'm switching over to my computer 2 that has Microsoft OneNote already open. This gives you a little insight into how I manage the information for my clients. So over here on the left side is a list of notebooks. So each one of these is a separate client. The first 2, there's a personal notebook, and a technical notes notebook, and a Live Windows Training clients notebook. And then each one of these are my paid clients, and this scrolls down a bit. And these are just the clients that I have opened into OneNote on this computer, which is typically clients that I'm doing remote support for. My other computers that share the same OneDrive data source can have a different inventory of notebooks currently open. And these notebooks are actually currently open. I can click on any of these and it's just instantly there. So then across the top, well, let's see, let me point out over on the left-hand side, this is the highlighted or selected notebook right now. It's the name of that client. It begins with the letter M. And so then in that client's notebook, across the top here, are these sections. If I float over the plus sign, you see it says create a new section. These are called sections. Each of these sections can have multiple pages. And this section is actually kind of short on the list of pages. This is a section called checklists. So typically the only time I'm using checklists is when I'm doing a setup of a new computer or a transition of a computer from one personnel to another. So this page that I have open right now is labeled over here. It's blurred out. There's a few sections that are blurred out. Okay, this left-hand side with my client names are blurred out. This piece up here on the top left of this page is blurred out because it has the names of these 2 staff people. And then over here, each of these pages has the names of the staff people for those computers. And their names are blurred out. So this page that I'm on right now is the names of the 2 people that I was setting up in the lab at the same time. And I put these computers side by side on my desk and just went down line by line. So these are my tasks for setting up a new computer. I can scroll down here. NAs means not applicable. So there's check marks, there's not applicables, there's some data that I'll put into the columns. And then one of the reasons why I really got interested in doing checklists is sometimes I get interrupted. And when I come back to continue, I don't know where I left off at. So by doing these checklists, that makes sure that I cover all the things that I want to do. And if I get interrupted, I can come back to it later. So I have yet to come back to these computers to finish the rest of the checklist. Now, after this checklist for the right here, I have that titled New and Refurbished Computer Setup Lab Work. Then there's another section for in-office before desk. So I'll take the computer to the office, connect it to the network, and do some in-office installations. Or sometimes I'll just connect it to the network and I'll come back here, connect to it remotely, and do the in-office configurations, the things that I can't do in the lab, such as configure for their printer, their copy machine, or network printer, I should say, configure for their file server if they have one, install perhaps software that resides on the server. So there's a checklist of things, of potential things that I need to do in the office. Any of these checklists are the full list of things that I might need to do on a particular computer. So when I come across things such as down here, where these items not applicable, well, it's just because power and disables fast startup and disable hibernation and full shutdown icon on the desktop. I just chose not to do it for those. And sometimes that basically means I'm about to eliminate an item from my checklist if I just don't think it's that relevant anymore. So normally these checklists only have one column for check marks. And just because I think some people might ask, how do you put check marks like that? Well, the answer is I'll come down here, click into a field, and press the Windows key, period, and that pops up these emojis. Now, once I select a check mark from elsewhere in this list, then it comes front and center on this list. So I'll put it there. Now I can press the escape key to get rid of that. Now I don't go do Windows key period and select it every time. What I'll do is I'll highlight that check mark, press Control C. So now as I go into other fields, I'll just press Control V to paste the check mark wherever I need it. Like so. Now I'm going to do Control Z to undo those last few options since I didn't actually do those actions. Is there anything else I want to talk about while in here? I mean, there's a lot I could talk about, but I don't think so. That's pretty good. Scrolling back up here, let's see. So I copy this checklist from Microsoft Word. I don't think I'm going to demonstrate that now, but there's some things in doing that that are worth demonstrating. So maybe I do that another time. And do I want to go on to this next time slip yet? Yeah, that's okay. This next time slip is also on Tuesday. It was 6:07 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. and it was a phone conversation from a paralegal that works in the law office I refer to as W. And I think I mentioned in a previous time slip that she's going to move across the country. Well, this was a conversation about the choice of computer to buy for her. Her employer authorized me to buy a computer for her. So we talked about it, and her presumption was it was going to be a laptop. And I started talking to her about other laptops that had been in the office. And she says, yeah, that one's kind of a small screen. I said, okay, so we can get a big size screen laptop. Are you likely to be carrying it around? Because a big screen means it's going to be heavy. She said, no, I'll never carry it around. It's going to sit on a desk and stay there. I said, well, are you even going to carry it to somewhere in the house or run it on battery power? And she said, no, it'll always be plugged in. It's always going to be stationary. And I asked her, do you want a numeric keypad? And she says, yes, I need a numeric keypad. Do you need a touch screen? No, not interested in that. We can touch on the laptop screen to do things. Do you need a CD drive or DVD drive? And she said, yes, I do, because sometimes clients want us to burn records of their files to a DVD so they can keep for long term. Or perhaps, I know in other attorneys' offices, sometimes they receive evidence, photographic or video evidence that's on a DVD. So yes, she does want that. So I pitched her a different idea. How about we get a monitor that's like 27 inches in size, and we put one of these microcomputers mounted onto the back of the computer. She had no idea what that was. I had to try to describe it to her. So I said, it's a full computer monitor, but you don't have a tower down on the floor or a desktop sitting on top of the desktop taking up space. It's actually mounted on the back of the computer. And so wires from the monitor to the computer are just all tucked away, hidden back there, nice and neat. And I talked to her about keyboard and mouse. If we get wireless keyboard and mouse, I don't generally like to do that because I would prefer to have a wired keyboard and mouse unless the person really, really wants that. And then she says, well, I really don't like having to replace batteries in the keyboard and mouse, and it is going to stay there at the desk. So she wound up opting for a wired keyboard and mouse. Good on you. I'm proud of you. Look, I have wireless all over the place, okay? I have wireless, but I know that I'm going to have to deal with the batteries when it's time. And I've just got so many of them around here that adding the wires and the wires that are behind this desk and around this, oh, you don't want to see that mess. So that was 48 minutes. And that sounds like the end of this video. So I hope that was useful. Have a great day. Catch you later. Goodbye.